socio-demographic, it means the age of the respondents, the educational status of the respondents, the average monthly income of the respondents, and all. So those are the socio-demographics. So we want to look at this, and this can be achieved by using descriptive statistics to describe this audience, because this is socio-demographic, and of course, so this is going to, of course, we know that when we see anything that has to do with socio-demographic, let's have it in mind that the tool to use for this specific analysis to achieve this objective number one is descriptive statistics. So that we need to take note of that. So for our socio-demographic here, we're going to use descriptive statistics to achieve that. So additionally, objective number two, want to assess the level of knowledge about pregnancy nutrition among women. So we want to look at what is their level of awareness or knowledge before and after attending nutritional education programs. We also want to evaluate the impact of nutrition education programs on the dietary behaviors of the pregnant women. So I equally want to mention that your objective should not be different from your research questions. So your research question is kind of an inverse of your research objective, by a way of turning the specific objectives into a question. So it's just a change in words. So you just manipulate the words to fit into a question. So if you look at the research question number one here, what is the level of knowledge among pregnant women, of pregnancy nutrition among women before and after attending nutrition education program? You'll see that this is directed at objective number two here, converting this specific objective into what? Into a question. Then question number two says, how do nutrition education programs influence the dietary behavior of pregnant women? So you want to see that this is also speaking to objective number three, that mentioned that it wants to evaluate the impact of nutrition education programs on dietary behavior. So then, is there any significant relationship between participation in nutrition education programs and birth weight outcome? So this is also a question that also can be, be duplicated to make to form a specific objective. So you see that objective number three, the objective number three can also be analyzed. Sorry, the question number three here is also, it needs to stand alone as an objective by itself. So we can also make it, we can also conduct analysis to look at this relationship as well. So, and to examine relationship, you need inferential statistical tools to be able to do this. Remember, this objective number one will examine by assessing, you'll be using a descriptive statistic for this one and two. Then for objective number three, who intend to evaluate impact, might consider the inferential statistics such as chi-square and many other tools that is specific for inferential to examine relationship, like in the case of question number three. So those are the. So now let's quickly look at what data set we need. So we for sake of time, we want to quickly look at that of social demographic, right? So that we can save time. So what we're going to do in this particular data set, we'll see that age is a demographic variable. Educational level is also a social demographic variable. The employment status, number of previous children, monthly household income, is those data from 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 demographics. So we're going to look at a way of putting this into a different sheet for analysis. But if we are going to work with the entire, to achieve all the objective, we wouldn't need to extract this to a different, into a different We don't need to extract this into a different sheet, but for the sake of time, like I earlier said, so from this study, it can be noted that we have 99 data, because the first column here being number 1 is for the titles of those column. So we have 100 being the last number here. Then by subtracting this from here, we have 99. So we expect that all of these selected items should be up to 100 by the time we subject it to analysis. So if should there be any missing value or missing column where there is need for adjustments, our package is going to tell us and get us informed. So we're going to see all of that. So we're going to try to create a different separate sheet, so where we get to paste that So let's try to change the font. Although it doesn't matter, you can use any font that is comfortable for you. And you can also use the size that is comfortable for you. So don't forget to save this particular data set, because before you can only make sure you save it where you can remember what, and also take note of the file name, so that by the time you want to import it into the SPSS, you're able to do that. So we want to format our data now. To begin with our analysis, don't forget these numerics here by need to go. So as you are formatting, make sure you are also equivalently saving your data by putting your hand on Control S always. As soon as you make any adjustments, save, because you might at the end of the day realize that you haven't saved the work done, and work done equals 0, right? So that's so we want to format our data now. What you need to do is just remember, we have in educational level, we have our four categories of individual: those with primary education, those with secondary education, tertiary, and those without formal education. So we're going to represent each with a numeric. We'll say those with primary education will be labeled as to 1, will be replaced to 1. Those with secondary will be replaced with 2. Those with tertiary can also be substituted for 3. Those without formal education can also be substituted for 4. So that way, we have assigned numerical value to the content of this specific demography. So all we need to do is to just make a search and replace, and then we're good to go. So remember, your Control H is to find and replace. So what you need to do for ease, just make sure, just what you need to do here, since we are going with primary, just do your copy and paste. Because if you need to type one after the other, depending on the, if you are using WPS like I do here, you might, if you change this P, which is capital letter, to small letter, it might not identify that you're speaking to this particular content. So it's better to just do a copy and paste, and you do your replace and just click on replace all. And every value that has that title will be replaced with 1. So Then you do the same thing for secondary. You replace with 2, right? So what are we going to replace? What are we going to replace tertiary institution with? Hello?
3.
Okay, that's very correct. So you just replace or, and then those with no formal education is going to be replaced with what?
With 4.
Correct. So I want to be very sure that we are following. So we also do the same thing for employment. We look at the categories of persons here. We have those who are employed, those who are unemployed. We have students and those who are self-employed. So we want to categorize it in an order of students, self-employed, employed, and unemployed. So in this order, we'll go with student first. So we are to replace student with what numerical value? What numerical value are we replacing student with?
One.
Okay, so we do that's 1. Then we said our second in order is self-employed, right? So, and that will be replaced with what numerical value?
4.
2, right? Okay, so we do in order. We have employed. Those who are employed will be replaced with what numerical value?
With 3.
Okay, so then those, if you look at something here, you see an error that just prompts up. You see that those with unemployed have changed, right? That is because the word employed can also be detected from unemployed, right? So it's replaced. If you notice earlier on, it had replaced unemployed because the unemployed has been the employed has been recorded into 3. So it dictates it as part of a wording in unemployed and replaced with 3. So you end up having UN3. So the best thing to do here is, since you already assigned values to this, and what you need to do is to just record the unemployed first before you go for that of employed, to avoid so you need to do realize you've been working so long, just to realize you've not been saving your work. Then, so we have already saved this data now. Your SPSS would not be able to import this data if it is open. So let's see what will happen if we keep our data open in an Excel sheet and we're trying to import. So when you open your SPSS window, you import your data, click on File, click on Open, then you open data. So we save the particular document on desktop, right? So we click desktop. And remember, the data we want to import is in what format? Is in what format? Is in an Excel format. Don't forget that. So you just come here to select your Excel, then you're able to see Can you see it here now? So you click on it, but I'm very sure it's not going to open because it's already open in the background on the sheet. So this is just to test run to see if that is practically correct. So it did open. So I'm surprised though. So you see, it was able to open it. So that's no problem. So we can go ahead with our analysis. So now, remember, this is our data view window where the numerical, our data is appearing, and we already know what we save each of these weights, the codes we use here. So this is on this variable view, when I mentioned earlier that this is where we, manipulate our data, is to come back to this value. Remember, we have already assigned value to those numerics. So we are going to now make this adjustment. What the value it is and what is the label for that. So on our education, we have primary, right? So, and the value there is 1, right? Hello?
Yes, sir. Right, sir.
So, so we said 1 equal what? Primary. Then 2 equal what? Secondary. Then 3 equal, the label for 3 is what? Tertiary, right?
Yes, sir.
Then 4 is what? No formal education, right?
Yes, sir.
So you add, then click OK. So then employment category, we have 1, which represents students, right? Then we
Yes,
have
sir.
2, which is self-employed, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then we have 3, which is employed, those that are employed. And we have 4, those that are unemployed, right?
Yes, sir.
So we have our data recorded now. You see, once you come back here, you see it has already changed. Do you see that? So
Yes, sir.
here you look at what decimal value, the decimal place that you want to put this. You might want to put this at 0 decimal place. Want to put this at age at 0 decimal place. So we don't need decimal here. So then also by the time there's what we call our exploratory analysis, but I'm afraid time might not permit us to do all of those. But the essence of exploratory analysis is to check our data set evenly distributed, and then does it capture, is there any missing value before we proceed so that we can correct that. But we can equally find this out when we conduct descriptive analysis. So remember, the aim of the first objective, which is our focus here, is to what? Let's check again. What is the objective here? So to examine the social demographics of what? Of the respondent. So we want to do that. So now, once you want to conduct an analysis, you see on this dashboard here, on the windows, you see analyze, right? You click on analyze and you want to conduct descriptive statistics. So you click on, you want to look at descriptives, or do you want to conduct frequencies, right? So we're going to see the difference on this output. Let's go with descriptives first to describe the data. So we are going to select, we are working with all of these variables. So we're going to select, you can hold on your shift and your down arrow, select all, and move to the variables. Then you want to look at what do you want to look at here. So remember, you might not be able to use this descriptive statistics because your data, for example, for those of age, for those of our education, employment status, you might not be able to get the specific values because these are just assigned variables. They are not, how will I say, continuous variables like age. So what you're going to do, so determining the minimum value and maximum value for education and employment status is not significant for this purpose. So you are going to understand what I mean by that. Let's just select all of them and move ahead. So we have checked in for mean, the standard deviation, the minimum and maximum value. Then we go ahead to make sure your variable list is checked. And then you click on continue. We don't have anything to do with the style here. So we go ahead to, click OK. Then it takes us to the output window. So you see here now, the age, you see all our values are 99, like we already mentioned, right? This is the numbers of the participants. So it's already telling us that we have 99 persons who participated in the study and that the minimum age here is 16, the maximum is 43, and the mean age, that is the average age of pregnant women in this study is 27.45, and the standard deviation is 7.593. So you see the educational value, the educational level. Reason why I mentioned earlier that descriptive statistics doesn't make sense for this particular category, both education level and employment status, is that minimum is 1, maximum is 4, which is not giving us any information because it is not continuous variable. So age is continuous, and for this one, we only assign those values to be able to, recall them and be able to subject them to analysis using this package. So the only thing that gives us specific information here is the age and pregnancies. So the minimum number of pregnancies, of previous pregnancies, is 1, while the maximum is 5. So now we go back to analyze again, and then this time around, we'll be able to get the information we need for our study. So we'll click on frequencies and then move our variables here. And then we check in, we want to look at the mean value. We want to look at, we don't have anything to do with the minimum, the dispersion. We are not doing any, for this particular study, we don't need the dispersion here. So we might want to check in for, we don't need the percentile as well. So I think with for central tendency measure, we can go with mean alone, then we proceed. So do you need charts? If you need charts, you can click on charts. But I love, conducting my, formatting my chart or designing my chart with Excel, as it's make it much more easier to edit and, make adjustment. So this, make sure it's checked in ascending values and compare values. Then you don't need anything to be checked in here. You just go ahead to click, remember to check these display frequency tables. This is very important because that's the focus now. That is the exact information you need for this specific analysis. So if it is unchecked, you will not get the desired result. So you click OK, and here it is. Do you see this part now? So do you see this age category? You see how numerous it is. Can you present something like this in your research findings, this long table telling you frequency 1, 2, 3? Have you seen any study that present tables like this?
Definitely not, sir.
So it's too long and the informations are equally not very important. So these are one of the things you get to know, that there is a need for you to record this particular age into a different variable or into same variable. So we're going to see how we can do that to make meanings to this study. So, but we have output that makes sense for education level, that makes sense for what? Employment status, that makes sense for what? Number of previous pregnancies. We have education level here, we have primary, secondary, tertiary, no formal education. So this table here is telling us that only 9 out of 99 persons who participated in this study have primary education, while we have 36 who had secondary education, who had attained secondary education, and we have 45 which that have obtained tertiary educational qualification. And those with no formal education is also 9. And here are the percentages, right? So what this data is telling us now, this output is telling us, is that majority of the respondents had tertiary educational qualification. Does this make sense to you? So if time permits, we'll look at how can we interpret outputs like this to make sense of what we have already done. Because you can't just present this table, I'm sure. Then how do you expect readers to, so to enhance readability, interpretation is equally as important as the analysis. So the employment status here, we see students, we see self-employed, employed, unemployed, and the majority of the respondents are within the category of employed category, right? So 42, which equivalent 42.4% of the audience or respondents is employed, while the 15.2% of the respondents claimed to be student, or are students rather. 15 out of 99 are students, while 17 out of the 99 is self-employed. So we have 25 who are unemployed. So here is the number of previous pregnancies we have. Remember that this is just telling us the duration. So this is just telling us the number. So there is no need for recording here. So it's telling us one previous number of pregnancy, 1. So 49.5% of previous of respondents mentioned that they had only one previous pregnancies, which is a response from the majority of the participating respondents. So 49.5%, which is also equivalent to 49 out of 99 of the participating respondents had only one previous pregnancy. And we have 25 who had 2 previous pregnancies. Then we had 12 who had 3 previous pregnancies, and the least is 5. So only 4 out of 99 of the respondents had 5 previous pregnancies. So this had made sense to us. So we need to go back to make meaning to this age, because we definitely cannot present this data like this. So however, remember from here, the minimum age is 16 and the maximum is 35. So we need to group this age to make sense of it. Since we already know what the minimum age is and what the maximum age is, it is very, very easy. We might want to group it in maybe 3 years interval. So we'll say 16 to 19, we'll say 20 to 23, right? Hello?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Okay, so since we are regrouping the age, we already have idea of what the minimum age is and what the maximum age is. So I'm not suggesting that we group it into 3 years interval, right? Or should we do 5 years interval to reduce?
Yes, sir.
fine.
We could have the 5 years, sir. The 5 years
5
interval,
years,
sir.
okay. Okay, so we'll say from 16 to 21 is the first group, right? That's group 1. Then we have 22 to what?
22 to 27.
That will be second group. Then 28 to
33.
will be group 3. Then we have 34 to
39.
that will be group 4. So we can now say 40 and above will be what?
There will be group 5.
Correct. So now we'll go back to so if you want to go back to your window, you just click on window here and go back to your this window. So what we're going to do, we're going to regroup this. We're going to recode this into different variables, so, because we might still need some information here. So one of the disadvantages of recoding into same variable is that all this recoding, this category we've just established, if we record it, it will appear on this column and this data is gone. So, but for safety, because we cannot guarantee that we don't still need this in this format. So we will now record into a different variable whereby another column will be established somewhere around here. So how to do that is to come to transform here, then you go to record into different variables. So now what variable do we want to record?
The age.
The age. So we move age here. So we can say this is age. So we'll label it as age category. So we click on change, sorry. So let's just say H2, then we click on change. So we have already changed this into H2. So our new categorized age group will be H2, will be in that column by the time we are through. So you come here to click on old and new. So since we already have a range that is established, we'll come here to click on range. And remember, we said 16 to 21, right? Is our first category, right? So this is our old value. So old value here will be from the range 16 to 21. Then our new assigned category is what? Group 1, right?
Yes,
so
sir.
we click on add, then we add it to this column. So we do same thing all through. Then this is group 2, we add, this is group 3, we add, and this is group 4, we add. Then remember, we said a range and above. We said 40 and above, right? Is group 5. So you see there is range true, range lowest true value. So lowest means if you want to say 40 and below, that will be your range, or 39 and below. That will be, that's when you're going to click on this. But since we are looking at 40 and above, which is value true highest, that is 40 upward, our selection will be this category. So we say 40 and above is our group 5. So we click on, then we continue, then here we click OK, and then we'll find out that we have a column here. Do you see the column here now? H2. So we'll come back here to this variable view where we can equally say age group. So, and remember, you come under values here to give meaning to those values that you already did. So we said 1 is what range to what range? To 21, right? Click on OK, 2 to 22 through 27. We add our group 3 is 28 to 33. We had 35. We had, sorry, group 4 is 35 to what? To 39. And our group 5 is what? 40 and above. So this is the naming we have assigned to. So let's go back to our data view and see what had happened. Do we see that? So you want to double check if this recording is correct. Can you see 35 to 39? You come back here and you see that your what? The age here is 35, right? You see 22 to 27. What category does this 26 fall into? What? Into this category, right?
Yes, sir.
So, hello, are we together?
Yes, sir. We are, sir.
Okay, so this is how to recode into different variables while still maintaining the original data set. So we can now go back to do a descriptive, or let me say, to analyze frequencies for our age too. Then we can take this away and redo the analysis. We have checked in all of this before. Then don't forget to check this, your display frequency table. Then do you see that part now? The educational level, the employment level, you see the age now. So the age, it makes sense this way, right? Rather than what we initially had. So this is how to conduct descriptive statistical analysis to, to describe your data. So we have age grouped into what? 16 to 21, 22 to 27, 28 to 33, 35 to 39, 40 and above. And these are the frequencies and the percentage. So it means that the majority of the respondents are within the age group of what? 16 to 21, because we have 29 out of the respondents, or 29.3%, falling within this category. And we have 21% falling into the category of 22 to 27 years of age. And we have 24.2% of the respondents within the age category of 28 to 33. Hello?
Yes, sir.
So is there any question before we move ahead? Any question?
Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, my name is Samuel, and I'm a Spaniard from the Federal University, Ekiti State, sir. Okay. Sir, please, sir, my question is there a best package that can be used for running a descriptive analysis, or are the packages available? Like, can we use all, or is there a preferred choice, sir?
Okay. Every analytical tool like SPSS, Stata, Python, and many of their likes. There is even EpiInfo here. You see this EpiInfo. All of these can be used for, even Excel, all can be used for descriptive analysis. So depending on the one you are familiar with and you are very much proficient in, then you can go ahead to use it. But you also need to consider what maybe, because every study you conduct is actually a replicate of similar study, probably in a different demography. So you want to look at what was the methodology that was employed, what tools was used for the analysis from that previous study. So you want to do, because what you are doing is a replication. So, and what is obtainable, you understand. So depending on the package you're familiar with, you can achieve this descriptive analysis with any of those tools I've mentioned: Stata, Python, EpiInfo, and many other tools. All of it can be used for this analysis, to achieve this descriptive analysis. And you definitely come up with the same result. The only challenge that you might encounter that might result into variation in result is the formatting. So provided you and other person is working on already formatted data that have the same information, you definitely achieve the same result using different packages. I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. So now you see these tables are already in this format. So it's now, how do we present tables? You know, it's another thing to be able to conduct your analysis, is another thing to be able to present your findings. So it is very important that we also get familiar with how tables are being presented in maybe it could be research or anything, or wherever there are formats to presenting tables. So you cannot just, if you copied this and went ahead to, just, let's say you copy and you export these values or these tables and just present it the way it is, it's probably going to get rejection from wherever you are making your presentation. So since we are looking at a single, we are looking at the social demographic, so it is better we harmonize all of these tables into a single table set. So let's see how we can do that. We can format these tables using Excel. So all you need to do is to go back to, since we are working with this document with the title SCOPER span, so it is better we keep our formatting within the document as well. We just need to open a different sheet, then do some copy and pasting of our output, of our result. We have the educational level, right? We have the age first. So you need to come back here and paste your age, and you also go back, sorry, and you have educational level, also do that. So you also have what other employment status, do this. Then you have numbers of previous pregnancies. So I think these are the information we need. So you do this as well. So here is it. This, you don't need this valid and not valid. All you need to do is cut this and put it here. Then you name this column. This is a column, right? This a column and this is a row. So you name your column with what? Variables. That is the name of your column. Variables. So all of these are variables. The age, the educational level, they are all variables. So this variable is already, this column is already named, so you don't need a duplicate here. You just need to cancel, to delete, and then you have this. See how we can expand this. So we have this, we just paste this. So can this Hello. Sorry, are we still together?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are, sir. Welcome back, sir.
Apologies, I lost my connection. Okay. So where did I get disconnected? Where were we at? Hello? Where were we at when I lost my connection? Do we know how we get here?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, so sorry about that. But are we all together when we did this table formatting?
Sir, I believe we ran this format on SPSS, sir.
What do you say?
I'm thinking this format that we did with the age intervals, we ran it on SPSS, right, sir? Or did we do it all over
Yes,
again
it
here?
was yes. This is, I only copied these tables, all of these output. Look at the age group in here. So it was formatted from, we had to did we did a recording to record this age group, this age into this group. So we did the analysis and we got this result here. So you see all the tables are appearing differently, right? So they are appearing independent. So, but you can present this since they are all speaking to single thing. What is it? The social demographic. So you need to harmonize these tables, put them into a single table, just give them headings and title, then you're good to go. That was what we did. That was what we did here. We bring those tables here and we format them into a single table. And what we did is that we only put a heading, this border, top and lower border. Some journals or schools might require that you put all borders. All border means lines will be drawn across. You just come here and put all borders, and you have something like this. I'm sure you must have seen results from research like this. So while the mostly acceptable format is to have, to only give borders, so to only have upper and lower border. So after having done this formatting, what we did is we highlight the table, and we copy, Control C, and we come here to paste and select value. So when we get here, so let me delete this. When we get here, all we need to do, if you do not select paste value, after having copy your tables, you will not be able to paste. You will not get the result here. So this is it. We have transformed all of the values gotten from the output into a single table here. And this makes much more sense when presenting our findings. So this is the table. This is a social demographic table because it is capturing all of these variables. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is where this is a social demographic table, and we have been able to answer this question number one. This question number one. Then, so what do we say? We say social. So to name the table, remember tables title are always at the top of it. So only figures and plates that you label below the image or the plate. Social demographic sorry, of the respondent. So for readability, you need to increase the font size and bolding it. So you have this table 1. Now let's check what this particular study had achieved. Is the result we have gotten here, is it similar to this? And let's see what this study have results. So this is social demography. You see, this study, this grouping, this specific grouping is quite different, right? We have 24 to 30. You see that this data set, the one we use and the one for this study, is not capturing the same information. Hello? But
Yes,
they are
sir.
of similar, right? There is similarity. The age, education level, employment status, monthly income, which we did not capture, number of pregnancies, which is up to 1 to 5. So you'll see the way this table is formatted. So there are different style of formatting table. You can have it this way, you can have it all border, or you demarcate each of the sections with a horizontal line. So this is about that, and you see the way the table is labeled, even though it has the same number of participants, but different information, perhaps in a different location. So then what is this particular one was not a field study, it was an online survey. The data was collected from a secondary source. So while this one was a field study, and that's why there is a variation in the age and the frequencies of the educational status and all. So, but I believe we understand how to approach descriptive analysis now and how to format a table, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have, I'm not sure if I have much of time left so that we can also take in some questions. Like I mentioned from the start, we cannot finish a whole of these things in just a 2-hour session. There is a need for continuous engagement to be able to get a hold of how to perform analysis. So, but this is just an introductory session anyway to get us familiar with, so that when even we give somebody else's, we contract somebody else's to do our analysis, we are able to fish out where there is an error. For example, maybe you assume you give somebody your work to analyze for you, and you see that this total here, this total number here is 99, and this total number here is 80. So what the data is telling you is that there is an error. Either this number here is exaggerated or this number here is reduced. So, and one of those errors that might bring about these disparities in free approach of the data analysis of the data analyst. So that is why it is very important to give attention to details when formatting your data set, so that those missing values, you can decide on what to do with them. And there is what we call outliers. When values are too small or too big, it can affect your data. So you might want to look at, okay, during formatting, before analysis, you want to format those with little, with that their values are very low. Let's say you're looking at age now, and you're looking at age from, let's say your data capture from age 5 to age 50. Now, how will you categorize children, adults, and senior citizens together? It wouldn't make sense, right? So you need to look at how you can extract data for the children category separately. It makes more sense if you still work with adult and senior citizens, right? Because the age gap is not far-fetched. It's not far from another. So, but senior citizens and children, bringing their data together and categorizing them into something like this will not make much of sense. So those can result into outliers. So you need to format that particular data set, extract those that belongs to children, put it in a separate analysis, and then you're able to do what is known as comparative study. You want to compare children and now. But if you subject it into a single analysis, it wouldn't bring a good result. And of course, reviewers will question your work on how do you come about this age group? What informed your decision selecting this age group, right? And remember, consent and regarding data collection is very important. It's very, very important. And don't forget that those below age 18 don't have, by law, cannot give consent on their own. So you need to do so through their guidance or parent to be able to get their data. And that need to be categorically mentioned in the methodology of your work, just like Dr. Sharif has highlighted a lot of things yesterday. So that is that on descriptive statistics. To walk us through, we will not be able to conduct that of inferential because I noticed my battery is going down and we are already 30 minutes to the deadline. So, and we still probably have people who need clarity on some things. But I'll just walk us through the interface of SPSS package, how it looks like and how to go about using it. So supposing you want to conduct inferential statistics, all you need to do is just come back to analyze. Maybe you want to check the relationship between, you want to compare the association between educational level and age group. The association between educational level and what age group. Remember the word association. So when you are checking for association, you use chi-square analysis. Chi-square. You can also do chi-square from here, from this descriptive, where you use cross-tabulation. So now, it is age that is on your roll, or it is educational status. You can place anyone, but now is association between the two. So you can choose to have age on your colon, and educational status on your roll. So you want to look at this. Make sure you check this asymptotic only, and select this. You check your chi-square. Remember, this is the focus of this analysis. You check your chi-square, and you click OK. The formats, ascending, the cells observed. So you want to maybe capture values for these rows and column, or maybe you just want to work with filter, but it's better you select all. So during the table format, you might choose which one you need. Is it row and column, or you need just the total? So this is inferential statistics. So you just click OK, and then you see your data set here now. So you see the age. You see the age. So it means we selected the wrong age category. So we come back here and select crosstab. So it is this age category we needed to use. So we uncheck this and work with this. So already we've checked in all the necessary columns, and we just go ahead. So you see this is more clear now. Do you see now? So this will give you a breakdown of, okay, how many of those within this age category of 16 to 21 had primary education, which here you can see is only 3. How many of those within this same age category have secondary education? A breakdown, 16. And like that, like that, like that. Remember, the first analysis we did, descriptive, only tell us the total numbers without giving us a breakdown of which age group had the educational qualification, right? So if you come back here, remember what you have here is that only 9 had primary education and 36 had secondary education. So when you check this table, you should be able to have your total equal 9 and your total for secondary equal 36. If it is not equal to what you have in your descriptive analysis, it means something is wrong with your data set and you need to go quickly to check. So this is this for chi-square, and for association, this is the chi-square value here, telling us that there is a significant difference. But maybe some other time we talk about this significant, not significant value. But what you need to know when you see a data and they say p-value is less than 0.05 and it is statistically significant. So when p-value, just like it is here, is less than 0.05, or equal to 0.05, it is considered statistically significant, telling you that there is a statistical difference among the variables under study. And when it is greater than, let's say this value here for this asymptomatic significance is 2 point something, it is telling you that there is no differences, or there is no variation. Perhaps the observed difference or association could be by just accident, could be accidental, or by, you know, it is just, so it may not be statistically significant. So that way, maybe for further, you could put it in your recommendation that, okay, for further study on this same subject context, or maybe you suggest that different method of approach should be given so that they can assess why there is difference, but the difference is not significant or statistically significant. I don't know. Are we together?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. We are, sir.
Okay. So there is also t-tests is also one of those, you compare mean. I'm sure maybe some of us, those in final year or those who have already conducted a research before, will have heard t-test, ANOVA, and all of those. Those who did laboratory tests, of course, will heard about ANOVA, because now this is your inferential statistics, and oftentimes these are used to check your hypothesis. You have hypothesized that, okay, there will be no difference. Maybe you did a laboratory work, and maybe you did an administration of let's say paracetamol, and you want to check the effect of paracetamol on kidney, and you have grouped your animals into 6 groups, where group 1 could be your control group, while 2 to 5 might be your group that you give different administration, and maybe you want to see the effect of a particular extract on whether it is effective or not on something. So you want to look at this. So once you are doing this kind of study, you of course need to subject your data at the end of the day to analysis of variance, one-way ANOVA. This ANOVA is an abbreviation for analysis of variance. So why do we use, what's the difference between all of these tools here? So, but let's look at those that are specific for our interests, and like this independent sample t-test, or it can also be referred to as student sample t-test, is used to compare between 2 groups of data set. Let's say you have male and female in your study, like the analysis we just conducted. Maybe it's not specific for pregnant women. It's just some cross-sectional study that was collected on the group, both male and female. Now, you now see that your group, the categories in your data is what? Male and female. Now you want to check the variation, the difference between these data across gender. What is the difference? Maybe you had assessed some variables. Maybe, for example, maybe you did maybe blood pressure test, and you want to see what's the difference between the blood pressure value, both the diastolic and systolic, amongst male and that of female. What is the difference? So you subject your analysis to this particular test. So this can only be a data set, but in a way, maybe you now have extensive data that looks at different ethnic group, maybe like 3 and above ethnic group, or any group, any data set that is above 3 group that you want to analyze to check variation. You use ANOVA. Hello.
Yes, sir.
So that is it. So, and you see some of the studies will say it is not, the difference between this group and this group is not statistically significant. This and this is not statistically, or is not significant. There's no significant difference. That's most times how hypotheses are being stated. There's no significant variation between this and this. There is. So you can state your hypothesis in 2 ways, either null, or you can say it in either null hypothesis or alternate hypothesis. Your hypothesis can either be alternative or null. Null in the sense that you already assume that there is no significance, but you still want to check, is your assumption correct, or do you have to reject that hypothesis? That is null hypothesis. But on the other hand, you also have alternative hypotheses that say that there is a significance, but you want to also check if this assumption is correct. That is where you use these inferential statistics. Does that make sense to us? So paired sample t-test is maybe you are conducting a longitudinal study, maybe you have assessed, just like we cite example of blood pressure, you assess blood pressure of a certain group of individual last month, and you want to do the same thing for them at 2 months after. It's the same people with the same variables under check. So that is where you use this paired sample t-test to check, okay, what is the difference between the values you've gotten last month and what's the difference between the value that you have gotten this month. So this is inferential statistics that we used for checking hypotheses, and we have regression analysis and all, but we cannot, you see the list, we cannot exhaust this, but I hope the little introduction we've had have actually informed our, you see all of this, it takes time. So, but you see this and this, and maybe by extension, correlation analysis and regression analysis might be needed for our study. So for the sake of time, this is where we'll be putting a pause for tonight, and I will open the floor for the moderator of this session, our host, to give the further proceedings. And I hope we've learned something this night. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for the wonderful session, sir. I initially thought that we were not going to stop. I initially thought we were not going to end this class for today, or the symposium.
Adewale, you are muted in case you're trying to speak.
All right, sorry about that. Thank you very much, sir, for the session. Thank you, Namani, Samuel, for following squarely, and everybody that was following. Thank you so much for the enlightening session, sir. So now this is where we move to the question and answer segment. I'm sure with the exhaustive lecture, there are lots of questions that you have from your end. So if you have any question, kindly signify by raising your hands so that you can be identified and given permission to ask your question. Otherwise, you can also type it in the chat box. So we are currently at the question and answer segment right now. So if you have questions, kindly do so. Signify or type the questions. Thank you very much. I honestly don't expect the same thing that happened yesterday to happen today. All right. So yes, Mr. Ajani, kindly ask your question. Ajani Samuel. Okay, that will be the president from Span Unilag. Would that be correct?
Okay, yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Jamiu Bello. I want to ask this question. If we are working with a larger data set, is SPSS going to be okay or would be efficient in analyzing our data? For example, let's talk about like we are having more than 100, because it's like just 100 now. I think that's why it's easy for us to carry out all these analyses on SPSS. What if we are dealing with thousands of data and whatnot? Yeah, thank you, sir.
All right. The moderator, do I answer or do we still take more questions?
All right, sir. Please kindly respond, sir. I believe if others have questions, they will signify. So I will observe. Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. President from University of Ibadan, right? Or Unilag? So
University of Lagos. Yes.
okay,
Unilag.
Unilag. All right. Thank you for the question. I want to categorically mention that SPSS can handle larger data set. I think I participated in a review today where the researchers in India, they did a study or those used secondary data, and you know how voluminous secondary data can be. About 75,000 data set. On the study was conducted in Senegal to assess the prevalence of secondhand smoking among the Senegalese. So 75,000 plus data set was analyzed with this same package. So do you see that part? So it's capable of handling larger data set as well. So you have no worry. All you need to do is to enhance your proficiency to be able to utilize the tool to its maximum potential. So, but it can handle larger data set as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for responding. I believe that answer satisfies the question, Mr. Ajani.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
All right. So, do we have any other question? I can't find any on the chat box. I don't know if Comrade Victor is here to check YouTube if there are questions from the live streaming. So, do we have any questions from the participant here? All right. We still await your questions. Okay, so what we're going to be doing now is I want to observe, make my confirmation for those that were here up to now, as in up until now. So I'll call your names, you signify with an emoji to show that you're still present with us. Mr. Jani, of course, obviously, yeah. Mr. Innamani Samuel. All right, thank you very much. Mr. Olatunji or Miss Olatunji, here with us. Right. So no response. Olatunji. Move on to Oluwaremilekun.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here, sir.
Right. Temitope Rukoya. Thank you very much. Abakar Mustafa. Abdul Hamid Abdulaziz. Thank you very much. Miriam, would that be Miriam Muhammad or Miriam Aditola? Miriam. All right. So for those that were here, those that responded, I'm sure throughout the session of the symposium, you have learned a lot of things, right? Especially if you already have prior experience to some of this data analysis or data analysis skill. Mr. President, I know you are obviously here. I didn't just mention you. I am sure you have been following. So since I don't think we have any question or any question from any other person, do we? All right, going once. All right, thank you very much, everyone, for participating actively. Thank you very much, Mr. Bello, Jamiu Ogirima. Really appreciate you for this session. I'm sure many of them or many of us here would like to connect with you on a personal basis, especially for some of us that are doing our research currently and might need guidance on our analysis. So instead of going out to meet people, I think we can consult you and also get some necessary things to do so as to make it quite easy. So, sir, I do not know. Can you give your details? I'm sure some people need it, or otherwise, can I publish it through the national PRO? So probably you can just send it to me and I publish it through the national PRO. Your preferred contact reference. So,
All right. Thank you very much. I want to also commend those who stay from the start of this session to it finish. I'm sure that we're able to, of course, utilize the few things we're able to learn with this session. And just like the president has mentioned earlier during the introductory session, we have an establishment where we assess students on the area of research, data analysis, public health and all. So whoever is in need of our services can equally check out for our brand name on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and you can connect with me on a personal note should there be any assistance or support in the area of research or data analysis that you need from us. So I'll drop in my preferred contact detail here. So, and you can equally help publish it through the National PRO should there be those that I'm sure there are people who among the audience who need, further assistance on this area. So you can check the in-call. I'll drop in my WhatsApp contact there and you can reach out for enhancing our connectivity. Thank you very much, everyone, for having me tonight. It's a pleasure being here.
Right. So thank you very much, sir. I do not know if the national president might have something to say. Mr. President, sir.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Committee Chairman. Well, I don't have much to say. I just want to appreciate Mr. Jamiu too for giving us his time. When you have about 17 students and now reduced to 9, but he still continues giving us the information that is needed. And I also appreciate Panay that are here with us too. You might not understand this data analysis very much now. And so when you are about to write your research paper, when you get to your chapter 4, as is being used in some universities, when you have to analyze your data. But thank God they are recording this thing. I'm very sure we will all go back to YouTube so we watch this. This information that has been shared with us by Mr. Jamiu is a course itself being offered by some universities. I think John Hopkins University is offering one on biostatistics and epidemiology and public health. So this is a course itself. So and I must commend the work of Mr. John. He has given us the introductory part of data analysis. And as a student of knowledge, I will expect panel to go on YouTube, watch this, and also search for more about SPSS and some other statistical tools that we can use to analyze our data. So thank you so much once again. Thank you so much, everyone. Committee chairman, thank you so much. SCOPER, really appreciate it. Well done.
Go. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Really appreciate that. So very quickly, this SCOPER Research Symposium continues next week, Friday, and we are still going to be having Mr. Jamiu again for another session on research methodology. So he's also prepared for that. That will be on Friday by 8 p.m. So for those that are not registered or presidents that are here, please kindly notify your the spanners in your chapter to do the needful by registering. I initially wanted us to stop based on what we had yesterday, but we had an encouraging number at the beginning today, and then people left eventually. I understand that many of us would have some things that we're doing. As I speak to you now, I have been traveling between states. As it's already clear now, I just arrived at another state now. So it's simply that I have to be in that meeting, or let me say I have to be in this symposium. So everything is just based on our planning. We should learn how to plan properly. At least let us be functional as Spanite. We have to function. So thank you very much, Mr. Jamiu. Once again, thank you everyone that reached up to this point. Thank you, the SPAN National President. Thank you, every single one of you. Really appreciate everyone up to this moment. And I hope that on Friday also you'll be present and so many other people will be present. This is aimed at ensuring that everybody is equipped with the right knowledge. I mean, beneficial knowledge that is impactful. Research knowledge is knowledge that cannot go away, right? There is no season. The only thing that happens with research is just continuous research. I'm sure that learning how to perform research or conduct research and also the skills necessary is also part of what can distinguish someone with competence. So I believe this session must have been very impactful for myself and for everyone that was present today. So on that note, our advice, we continue with further studies and also go back to YouTube to rewatch this, as this is already recorded live and streamed also on YouTube, which means you can access it later. So that is basically all I have to say at this point in time. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for reaching up to this point, and I hope everyone enjoys and have a wonderful night rest. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.
Good night, so Mr. Chairman, safe journey. You should safe journey. All right, everyone. As you do. Yeah.
Mr. President, sir. Good night, sir.
Good night, so. Is that Temitope from OOU?
Yeah.
Yeah, hello, is that you?
Yes, sir.
All right, no problem. Good evening, everyone. Good night, so. Happy
Uh,
weekend. Yeah, all right, good night.